All right, let me fix my camera here. Okay, or do you want to see my beautiful view from my office? All right, I had the idea to try something out right at the top of our experience with the research essay. I'm going to go over early on in your process. I mean, we can't be any further early on, can't be any earlier on than we are now. Uh, we're going to go into a document that is not going to be as important to you today as it's going to be in a few weeks. But maybe, just maybe, if I go over this document with you early on, it'll help you create, sort of a framework within which you can, put forth your best effort to sort of, make your efforts as efficient as possible. So let's see if that's possible here. So your research essay, this is going to be one of those dumb screencasts where I just kind of talk over a document. But print it out, take notes, figure out your own way to, absorb this information. Okay, if you watch my other screencast, you know that you're going to know the basics here. That 7 full pages of text, and that means words, not title page, not your references page, none of that, cute stuff. And your basic, 10, 11 point font, all the, the usual stuff. APA is going to be my strong preference. If you want to do MLA, I mean, I'm not going to, I don't know, I'm not going to bring down the hammer on you too bad, but you're going to use APA in your college career, so you probably should get as much practice with it as possible, and what better class to get practice in it than in your writing class. Okay, what else? Your primary research raw data will appear in your appendix. I've already had plenty to say about that in the intro to the assignment. A references page, an argumentative purpose. Hope you're not sick of that because it's not going anywhere. And be logical. I'm a bit more, I don't know, the phrase isn't thought police, but it's something close to it. It's my job to sort of hold your ideas up to scrutiny now, more so maybe than I did even in College Comp 1 or earlier in this semester, where I will let certain things that don't pass the logic test in my mind pass because the work is more about the writing. Well, the work needs to shift more towards the ideas behind the writing as well as we get into this research essay, because there's never been an essay where the argumentative stakes are higher. I mean, you really want to persuade me with this one. Okay, let's see. So hopefully you have not forgotten the things that I've taught you or that you learned in College Comp 1 about outside source credibility, relevance, diversity, and timeliness. Those are the 4 sort of pillars of what makes a quality source. Is it credible? Is it relevant? Is it, are you from a range or diverse number of sources? And is it recent? All right, APA documentation and smooth quote introduction, incorporation, and citation. I'm going to go big here real quick. Some really big steps back in what I've seen in your Digital Sabbath essays so far. So big steps back in terms of things you probably, I guess I expect you to know better than to do by now. Using the word you, having foggy citations that don't appear to follow any citation style, stuff that has me worried. Maybe I'll be less worried as I see more Digital Sabbath essays, but worth saying out loud, the stuff that you were taught in College Comp 1, yeah, you're going to need to apply that stuff in College Comp 2. I want that to be obvious, but if it's not, please let me know. We can talk. All right. So this is, I guess, maybe the thing I want to kind of talk about the most here. Context, controversy, and conversation. All right. So you have to set the stage for your argument, and it's got to go beyond this. People use technology every day, but is technology good or is technology bad? It's a 200 level class. You're all capable of much better than that. So it's your job to set the stage for your argument by introducing your subject, its history and important ideas, and I guess important history also, important history and important ideas, the current conversations happening about it, and research in online settings and classrooms, wherever, on the streets, everywhere, in churches, wherever. Okay, so what is your topic's controversy? Why are you writing about it? What makes this an acceptable paper worthy of your time to write it, and just as importantly, I guess, my time to read it? If you can't answer that basic, if you can't pass that smell test of, is there a controversy here? Are people still talking about it right now, 2018? If you can't pass that very first question, then I don't know what to tell you except that you're not going to like how any of this goes. Bullying is important, and it's a danger, and bullying is not what it used to be 20 years ago. And so if you just tackle the idea of bullying and it's just this very narrow, 1998 sort of idea of what it meant to bully back then, you're not really embracing the realities of what's going on today in it. I want this paper to be relevant and vital today. I use that word very often, vital. It means alive. Your vital signs are how alive you are. I want your paper to be very alive. I want your topic to bring vitality to it. Okay, so what makes your topic worthy of a 7-page argument? You're going to have several smaller assignments that will help you make sure that you're fulfilling, those obligations clearly. But the sooner you think about them, the better. Okay, what are the competing ideologies behind the multiple viewpoints involved in your topic? And again, I just want stay away from binary thinking. Oh, this is going to be exciting for you. Binary thinking. Blank versus blank. Like, there's only 2 ways to think about a subject. That's very, sort of. Now the word is jejune, J-E-J-U-N-E. It's very childish, so stay away from it. Who's at risk and what's the stake? That should hopefully help you get your essay started by describing the stakes involved and the vulnerable populations that are occupying the vital sort of battleground of your topic. And if you can make the stakes high, if you can identify populations that need to be better served by us in whatever capacity you want to define us, as citizens, as voters, as Ohioans, as drivers, people with online presences. All right, your argumentative agenda, again, you must persuade. I'm going to jump right to the bottom here. Stay away from report writing. Stay away from 6 pages of history lessons. I don't need history lessons on anything. I don't. Don't waste valuable time that you could spend writing on the more important stuff, the stuff up here, the controversy and the conversation. Stay away from report writing. Stay away from historicizing. Okay, I don't need a report. Okay, you cannot be locked into a goal of I want to educate readers about X, Y, and Z. Don't assume we're already educated. Assume your reader is already educated. It's mostly true. Let's see. Making your case. It's important that you add fresh thinking to your topic. So if you just say, well, some people have said this and some people have said this, and I'm kind of with one set of the other people, that's not really an argument either, or at least it's not a fresh argument because you're just repeating all the things that have already been said, and it's that's way too simplistic. All right, so you need to think about how each and every paragraph will help you succeed in your argumentative goals. And if this whole paragraph is, I just thought maybe a quick history. Yeah, up here I said history. Let me scroll up, sorry, to make it a little queasy here. Let me find it. It's history and important ideas. So just the things that, the basic working vocabulary of your subject, that's all we really need. And most times we don't even need that, but I guess that sort of writing is at least helpful in some ways. Okay. Take a break now if you want. I think I'm just going to power through now. But as always, take a pause if you need to take some notes or absorb this information. Okay, what are all these red lines doing on this? I wonder. No, I didn't mean counterarguments. Can I just ignore? Yeah. All right. Goodness gracious. I can't stand this. Okay, so if you have an argument, then you're naturally going to have a counter argument that you might want to spend some time thinking about, writing about. And to that end, I encourage you to have a counter argument. Now, there are lots of different ways to, sort of develop. The 1-2 punch is usually like explain how people can disagree with you, and then, refute or accommodate those, disagreements, let's say. So, there's lots of ways that you can kind of have a counter argument appear at the end of your essay, where you, kind of answer all the different problems that maybe pop up, or the flaws, loopholes, shortcomings of your argument. Absolutely fine way to do it. You can do it sort of after each paragraph and say, well, some people would object to this subpoint in this following way. And there's always like a, like an elephant in the room sort of counter argument where you're glossing over one just sort of massive fact, in order to make your point. Well, you should be addressing that massive fact no matter what. Okay. Let's see. So if you have any questions about counterarguments, I tend to treat counterarguments more on a case-by-case basis. I find them a little difficult to teach broadly, let's say. So email me, of course, to let me know how I can help you. Body paragraphs. Use transitions often. Start each paragraph with at least a nod to its subject matter, if not a clear topic sentence. Okay, end each paragraph with vital analysis. This is so important. Bold. In italics. How you end your paragraphs. In terms of like discussing like the general architecture of how arguments happen, how minds get changed, how professional writers make their cases, just looking and almost doing sort of metadata with it. Most of the time, this happens at the ends of paragraphs. So if you're ending your paragraph with a quote or some sort of question that doesn't have a clear answer, or that I guess you don't answer, as a reader, I'm going to be left like sort of flustered, like what am I supposed to do with all this information? It's your job to put it to work. And there's that word vital again. Okay. Now am I talking about transitions and topic sentences a little bit? They're not bad. They're not a terrible practice, but there are much more stylistically interesting ways to seamlessly incorporate. The meta discourse, yeah, that's the big word, meta discourse. Big argument. Meta means big, just like mega, and discourse usually means argument or idea. So what's your big idea? What's your big argument? And meta discourse helps guide readers from paragraph to paragraph, from idea to idea. All right, kind of rounding third here, just a couple minutes to go. Let's talk about quotes. Again, I'm sorry I'm scrolling so unpredictably. No quotes ever over 40 words or 4 lines. Never a time for it. If you're writing your dissertation, go right ahead. Lord knows I did. But this is not that class. This is not that book. Make pains to introduce each and every quote. Who is your source and why should readers care about them? Every source. If you had me last semester, you've had plenty of practice with that. If you didn't have me, please reach out. We can talk. I could be a lot more comprehensive in my explanations of my preferences when it comes to quotes, and especially in quote introductions. Freestanding quotes equal lower grades. All right. Avoid this at all costs. Name, comma, so you make it 2018. Okay, I can't stand citations like this because they don't tell me, they provide me no context. Okay, make each quote's purpose clear to your readers. Don't assume any quote's meaning will be immediately obvious to anybody but yourself. You have to put your quote to work for your argument. Okay? Boy, one of my biggest problems, one of the biggest problems I see is when it comes to primary research. Okay, you're going to either conduct a survey, you're going to conduct a questionnaire, which is very similar to a survey. You're going to do an observation, you're going to maybe do an interview, you're going to maybe analyze an artifact, that sort of thing. If there's just a big block of your essay, it's like 3 pages of like your interview, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it all wrong. Okay, you should use your raw data, your primary research, like you would any other source. You will cherry pick very thoughtfully from that raw data, in the hopes of using it in a very specific way to highlight your argument. Okay, so I'd say 25 to 30% of you are never going to get this idea, kind of through your head, and you're going to think that I'm going to want a 4-page interlude where you just talk about the interview you did. I don't. I'm never going to. That's not the goal of the assignment. All right, secondary sources. Again, all those ideas. Let's see, no order then. 2011, we'll give you 7 years. All right. And then just other little reminders: journals, magazines, newspapers, italics, titles of articles are in quotes. Let's see, no URLs in any research essay body, let's say. All right, and then just take care of the little stuff: grammar, mechanics, typos. Try to use a sophisticated vocabulary, vary your sentences. Have a respectful, persuasive, academic, yet urgent tone, and that urgency is really the important one. Something needs to be done about your argument now. Otherwise, X, Y, and Z are going to happen, and those will, end up being bad. So now I have a minute left here. What can I tell you except that these ideas are all important? You don't have to have them mastered now, but by the time 6.5, 7 weeks from now, when you're turning in your research essay for a final grade, you'll want to make sure that these sorts of priorities and orientations are right where I'm explaining them, where I'd like them to be by the time you turn it in. So for where you are now, the most important thing is choosing a topic that has some relevance in our immediate worlds today, in today's society, if I may. So think about that way. What makes my topic relevant? Write about Massillon. Write about your home. Write about your local community in some way if you want. That's always a nice way in. So I want your emails. I want your questions. So please let me know if you have any questions or confusions about anything you've heard here today. Thanks. Take care.